Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to episode 297 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing, recorded live from western, northeast, South Dakota. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
We're back, Tommy, for another banger, 297. We're getting dangerously close to 300. And at 300, we're pulling out all the stops. So for now, there's still a few stops. But when we get to 300, all the stops get pulled
are going away. Yeah. We're throwing them away.
Another big milestone episode for us. So exciting to see what we got in store for that one.
Does no one? The Discord is talking to us right now. Does no one have video on the Discord? Can we get just a picture of me? Is all they say, huh? Okay, Tanner.
Okay.
While you can read that ad. I'm gonna do some technical troubleshooting.
That sounds great. This episode is brought to you by Fusion Sports Performance Supplements. Do you all know what's in your supplements? If you use Fusion Sports Performance, you always will. Fusion SP prides itself on being fully transparent, never using proprietary blends, and always providing its customers with top quality products. They offer 2 pre-workout options with the Super Soldier pre-workout and the Mad Titan High Stim pre-workout. Both have proven ingredients at their full clinical doses to help maximize performance, increase muscular endurance, improve focus, and get you that much sought-after pump. Both are favorites among strength sport athletes and Massenomics gym members. Healing Factor post-workout, they've got that. It combines BCAAs with a full serving of creatine monohydrate. Then they've got their whey protein isolate. It tastes great. 27 grams of protein per scoop, 0 fat, low or no carbs. Doesn't contain soy or gluten. Won't cause any stomach discomfort. Available great flavors they've got over there. They got chocolate of some sort, a.k.a. chocolate fudge. They've also got vanilla of some sort and frosted cinnamon roll of some sort. They got speedy delivery over there. Most orders are shipped within 1 business day, and every order comes fully backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to fusionsp.net and use code, say it with us, MASS. MASS. M-A-S-S. It'll save you a massive 20% on your entire order at fusionsp.net. Sounds like you figured out the video.
I did.
Problem.
The whole, you just quit it and start it up again. Oldest trick in the book.
Try holding down the power button.
That's all you got to do.
That's been my secret all along. Okay, well, our weather changed significantly from last time.
We got
last episode is when we're talking how it was 60 degrees.
Yep.
That was 1 week ago today.
It was funny because I was talking to a family member saying, it was Sunday morning. We were eating breakfast, and I go, are we supposed to get snow? Is snow in the forecast? And they're like, I think later in the week. And it was like 3 hours later, the snow was coming down.
Yep.
How's that for timing? Huh?
It got us. Did you have to shovel your walk?
I did have to do a little shoveling. Not much, just a little.
Yeah, I had to bust the
when you have a
shovels
south-facing driveway, you let old Mother Nature handle it for you.
Yeah, I suppose that does help. We had to bust the shovel out, and that's always and the tricky part is too. I have a snowblower. Anyone that doesn't live in an area where you don't have to deal with the snow, you don't know about these struggles. But it was maybe we got like 3 inches.
And so it was really light. Stuff too.
So it wasn't that much. So it's like it's not hardly worth getting the snowblower out. Mm-hmm. And then about halfway through shoveling, I'm like, man, I should have just done the snowblower. It takes so long. Both actually take a long time, so it's not really necessarily speed.
When you have that really wide driveway, it makes shoveling kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, the 3-stall. That was my old driveway was more of a narrow 2-stall.
That's what mine was. My old one was a very narrow 2-stall, which you could stand in the middle and just throw snow across, no problem. Which is like, no big deal. But once you get that wider driveway, it's takes a little. You got to be a little strategic with how you clear that thing off with a shovel.
That is true. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're living now. It's cold and snowy.
Mm-hmm. Everything's all shitty and dirty everywhere.
Yeah, that is like the vehicles get all crappy then though too. And then you pull in your garage and it like all melts off. Mm-hmm. And it's like Why is everything melting off of it pure black?
Yeah, everything's just like, it's like now when you go down the road, the busier roads, and all the snow's just brown and all shitty on the sides. It looks so disgusting everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, this is where we live for 6 months of the year.
Yeah, we're in it now. We're in that shit.
But speaking of the season, Tanner, the Christmas season is just around the corner.
It's true.
Which means one thing. Nachos Navidad is upon us.
Feliz.
'Tis the season.
We should maybe for the Christmas episode we should get Nachos Navidad.
We probably should, the feast.
And crunch into tortilla chips.
Basically be an ad for Taco John's. Yeah. We should probably talk to them about sponsoring us.
Right. They already have Whiplash the Cowboy Monkey, so why not get Massenomics?
Massenomics isn't dumber than that, I can tell you that. Like, it might be as dumb, but it's not dumber.
It's not dumber than Whiplash.
Than a Cowboy Monkey.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that is pretty cool, a Cowboy Monkey, but
yeah. I like Whiplash.
I do too. But we'd fit right in great with Whiplash.
No, I think so.
They could make they could do an origin story of Whiplash the Cowboy Monkey and say that we were like his trainers.
Yep.
That would be a great one.
I like that. I think that's how Massenomics fits into the Taco John
universe.
Yeah.
The extended universe of Taco John's.
Right. What? Taco John's doesn't get...
Taco John's having an extended universe with a lot of players and movers and shakers.
Taco John's doesn't get wild enough though on the like what we've talked about.
Yeah, they're
Taco
not that
Bell,
crazy creation kitchen like Taco Bell is.
No. They got something to work on then, though.
They go crazy with their mascots.
I rewatched the Ronnie Coleman documentary. I don't know if you ever watched that before.
Yeah, I think we do an episode about it?
We probably did, and it popped up on something, or I saw someone else watching it, and I rewatched
the King?
it. Yeah, I think that's what it's called, right? Yeah, buddy.
It wasn't called The Blade or The Shadow, and I don't think it was called The Gift. So
no, it was The King. Yeah,
probably The King.
He is one guy. Like I don't think he needs a nickname.
Yeah. Yeah, he does not.
He doesn't really need a nickname. Like he just transcends nicknames even. But that's tough. Like he's in, I don't know what his progress is in the last 2 or 3 years.
I think it's
more of the same essentially, right?
Maybe even worse, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah. Couldn't be much worse because he could barely walk.
Well, was it at the Arnold that they did in September when we were at the showdown? There was an Arnold, right?
Yeah, right.
Didn't they present him with some award there?
Okay.
Didn't he couldn't he not even get up to hardly accept it?
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. I guess it is interesting watching him though, and he's pretty much in the field of no regrets. So then
he is.
I guess I don't feel bad.
Yeah,
actually,
you don't like when that's the approach. But the weird part is when you. Because it was about a year ago, he had an interview on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
When Joe, it kind of felt like he was the first person that ever asked him these questions. He's like, oh,
should you go to another doctor?
Have you ever seen this one doctor is fused like every vertebrae in my back. Like my entire back is fused. I think is almost what he said, which doesn't even sound real, but
right.
He basically said, yep, every single bone in my back is fused. And he goes, oh, have you got a lot of second opinions? He's like, nope, just my one doctor. He's done every one of my surgeries. He's like, oh, just the same one? You didn't want to go to anyone else? He's like, nope, just my same guy. That seems maybe a little suspect there, doesn't it?
Get the feeling almost that he's maybe a little too trusting in his people, where it's like, maybe it wouldn't hurt at this point to check it out with somebody else.
I don't know. If your options are be in severe pain and not be able to walk, or be in severe pain and be able to walk, like were those the options? I don't even know. Because it seems like he's had all these surgeries and he's still in severe pain and still can't walk. So
right. He said he was taking like 5.
Yeah, what did he say? He's taking 2. Yeah, he was taking way too much
oxycodone or something a day.
He even admitted he's like, I think I was taking too much for a while.
I think he said something about that.
Yeah, that's but that guy.
It's not really a feel good documentary though.
No,
like on that stuff, I'm like, that's rough. Like then the guy that owns Metroflex, they interview him at the end, and he's, in tears talking about how tough it is for him, like the first time that he walked in like that, and he's just like, because he was like the biggest, baddest man on the planet, and now it's
at what cost?
Yeah, right. Old Ronnie.
Yep.
But it was still worth a good watch because I haven't seen it for a while, so it was still entertaining to me again.
Yeah, I can tell I probably won't watch that one again.
Yeah, it's a little depressing though.
Yeah,
overall.
no, I feel like that was my takeaway from it.
Yeah.
That I left with it like, yep, I guess I got that. I'm good now. I put that in the list of movies that probably don't need to watch again in my life.
Speaking of iconic people in strength sports, this week there was a couple big lifters that returned to the platform.
There were
A couple big power lifters that have been names in the sport for the last decade plus. We had Dan Green out of Boss Barbell out of California, came back for his first meet, and I think he might have even said his first competition in like 6 years.
That's the number I saw too. 6 years,
Yeah.
which that seems insane.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Like powerlifting existed in 2015.
Right. Yeah, that's a long that's a long time ago. And so he squatted which I was surprised. So he squatted I think 804, which was a PR for him in sleeves.
And the surprising thing there is 804. Doesn't everyone do that now?
Right. Which is kind of of the elite powerlifters.
It's not completely true, but
right.
You don't go crazy over hearing someone have an 800-pound squat anymore.
Right. And a part of it being the most he's ever squatted in sleeves before is I don't know how much he competed in sleeves before.
Yeah.
Also, because in the last 6 years, I think there's been a little bit of a shift over that period of time where there's a lot more people competing in sleeves now than there were 6 years ago where wraps were more. I mean, there's still people squatting in wraps
yeah, there still
now,
are, but a lot of the big meets are going away from wraps too.
Yeah.
Even like that used to be the thing is all the biggest meets were in wraps, and that's becoming less the case every year.
So he squatted that 804. He benched like, I don't know if it was low 400s, and then he deadlifted. He only got his opener deadlift, which I think was 770 or somewhere in there. So he ended up, his total I think was 2,006 pounds.
Which is also crazy because 2,000 pounds is just...
I mean, for us, it'd be a whole. It's really strong for us, and it's still really strong. And it's in the 220-pound weight class. Yeah. It's a lot, but it's
he's still crazy strong. Like there's no doubt about that. But it's just showing how much the world has changed. Is
right.
A lot of the big meets, like that number.
Well, that was what we joked about, like at the showdown with a bunch of people competing. It's like,
2,000.
Everyone used to say, it used to be a big deal to get 2,000 pound total. Now it's like, well, everyone here has that.
Yes, 2,000 is still remarkable. You're still insanely strong if you're doing 2,000. But in the scheme of elite powerlifting, 2,000 just feels like it's starting to mean less and less all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But it's interesting. I'll be exciting. I assume he's going to keep competing now, and maybe it's a building block for him.
Yeah, that will be the interesting part is to see if there is more. I mean, I wouldn't fault the guy if he said, I'm going to retire. Like,
right.
Been around a while.
Right.
Do you know how old he is?
No.
I have no clue how old he is either.
I feel like, is he 40?
That's what I want. I wanted to say closer to 40 than 30.
Yeah.
Right?
He's got to be older than us, isn't he?
Be really unusual if he wasn't.
Yeah. Maybe my guess is he's let's just take wild guesses. I'm going to say he's 38. Let's see who can get closer.
I'm going to say 39.
Okay.
It's like
you prices right my ass there.
Just gonna say.
And if either of us get exactly right, we get a $100 bill.
An extra cool beans.
Yeah.
Okay, Tanner, would you like to know?
Yes.
He is 39 years old as of December 1st. So if we would have done this about 2 weeks ago, you would have beat me. But
so we're both pretty good guessers at that one, aren't we? So he's not quite masters yet, then either, is he?
Not quite.
He's in that old sub masters.
According to Wikipedia here, his best lifts in the 242-pound class are an 848-pound squat, a 530-pound bench, and an 837-pound deadlift.
I think some of his injuries really have hampered his bench press.
Specifically,
like I bet there's been some things.
And
there
he had some pretty bad ones in there too. Like, if you're at that high of a level, and you have to take 6 years off. Unless you're just,
I don't think he was taking 6 years off for the hell of it. I think he got hurt that many times.
Unless you're doing it for fun, there's probably a reason. And it did, by the sounds of it, he had a lot of injuries in there.
I think I'll officially be in the Submasters class here in like a month. I'll be a Submasters.
Really? That's how early? What?
Yeah, 35 is Submasters.
Really? That's when it starts?
Yeah, 35 to 40. I don't know what Submasters even is. I wasn't even all that aware of it until recently. I heard people talk
Until
about
it was
it.
brought to your attention.
Right. But
yes,
yes,
a whole new set of records.
Sub-Masters, I think, is 35 to 40. And I don't know if all things recognize records in that class or why that's even a group. I'm like, why do you need to be a class for 35 to 40? That's just 5 years
a
of time.
subsect of a subset.
Right,
Like, why?
right.
Yeah, that's.
But I think technically that's what people consider Submasters. So like next month, I'll be Submasters. I'm going to have a Submasters party.
Yeah, a whole new lease on life over here.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Going through a Submasters life crisis. I'm going to go buy a Corvette and
Start racing the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's good to know, I guess. So Dan hit his. What was that? Was Record Breakers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
I didn't see
8-man strong.
I think so.
Breakers
Yeah.
or
I didn't catch
or-
anything else from there.
No,
Did you?
actually, that's weird. I'm not aware of anything.
It didn't dawn on me
Yeah.
until right now that I did not see a thing on any other pages outside of that.
No, I don't know that I really saw. I did not see anything else of it.
Which now that's got me curious. Are we just that out of the loop, Tanner? Which is
We might be
probably
on
the
that one.
answer.
Yeah.
Or was there nothing remarkable? I'm curious if I can very quickly find meets on Open Power.
Are we going to do an open powerlifting stat of the week?
Throwback.
Yeah, for any of you that used to be a segment that we had was open powerlifting stat of the week.
8-man record breakers. Here we go. Oh yeah, Hunter Henderson. I did.
Oh
see
yeah,
she
that's
did
right.
have a
That
big
is
meet.
what I saw. I forgot that. I just wasn't associating that was at record breakers.
Yeah,
she's
that
back.
actually didn't click in my brain either. Outside of that, just looking really quick, I don't recognize.
I have to say I either didn't realize or had forgotten just how big and muscular her legs are.
Yeah,
Where I'm like, holy crap.
yeah.
Like the size of her.
Okay, well, this is what's kind of weird is that record breakers. Dan Green, from what I can tell, is the only person there to total over 2,000.
Okay.
So
So that's certainly not the showdown meet then, is it?
yeah, your other big totals would be there was a guy that did 1940, Chris Garcia. And then an 1800, 1840, 1970, 17, 18, and then it all drops into the 15s and 14s. So
Okay.
it's an odd meet. That is an odd meet.
Well, it's an odd name at the very least.
That's what I'm saying. It's an odd meet that it's record breakers.
Yeah.
And I guess those could be, like it's powerlifting, those could very well be records of some kind.
Well, they were all records of some sort.
Yeah, some kind.
Like you said, it is powerlifting.
but
so.
it's not the records that typically are noteworthy in these situations.
The other guy that was, or wait, do we need to do it to him?
We need to do it to him for sure right now.
Leave that on a cliffhanger then.
It's called building tension.
Oh, I'm on a cliff. I'm hanging.
This episode of the Massenomics podcast is brought to you by the Strength Co. Grant Brogy was born in the late 80s, nearly 2 decades after Buddy Caps began lifting. In the late 90s, Grant's brother Jordan bought him the new Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Grant's love for weightlifting began. In 2001, Grant joined the local YMCA and began training with weights. In 2009, Grant discovered the book Starting Strength, and in 2012, as a lieutenant in the Marine Corps, he began teaching Marines this method. In 2017, Grant opened his first gym in Costa Mesa, California, and the Strength Co. was born. In 2020, during a major iron shortage, Grant sought to bring back quality manufacturing of Olympic barbell plates to America. His innovation, adaptation, and can-do attitude brought about the greatest plates made in decades. The plates were accurate, anti-fragile, and instantly became the go-to plates for hundreds of lifters at Massenomics Gym. You can check out the Strength Co. plates online at thestrengthco.com.
Thank you.
Thank you, Strength Co. What was the cliffhanger there, Tanner?
The other guy, big guy that did some competing this step back on the stage this weekend was Mr. Optimus Prime, longtime friend of the podcast, Ray Williams.
Yeah.
We might have to get Big Ray on
Yeah,
the
we
podcast
probably
sometime.
should.
We never have,
He's
had
been
we?
keeping a pretty low profile the
That's
last
true.
couple of years.
It's always money time, though.
It is always money time.
He's told us that before.
Yeah.
I never
he
forget
has.
it. Every time I think, is it money time?
God,
I just
is it time to go home? Oh, no, it's just
no,
money
it's
time.
money time. Right? Oh yeah, it's always money time,
Yep,
baby.
yep.
So he did come back. He squatted over 1,000 pounds.
Which that's after a guy's gone a while, you wonder, is that still in there?
Yeah.
You wouldn't blame him if it wasn't, but apparently when you're Ray Williams, you just always squat 1,000 pounds no matter what.
The videos of him going at that look just as exciting as they always have. You know, I imagine the whole place gets like that was the thing at the Arnold. Like when Ray Williams is going to squat, like the whole place is like you have to be there early in order to even be able to see it.
Outside of the strongman events, nothing else felt like it was at that level of excitement.
Right. As like specifically Ray Williams squat and probably like his second and third attempts. And
yeah,
but
he was at that time really busting barriers with that, though.
That's true too.
That was such uncharted territory.
It's good to see him do over 1,000, and it's kind of the same question as like, okay, is this him being back, and then like he's going to be able to build off that now and like make some progress back towards, you know, because for a while there it kept he was pushing so close to that 1,100 pound squat in sleeves. Like I think he did 1,080 maybe or something that he had in there.
Yeah, I think it was right up there.
Yeah. So, but Ray, it was like the Virginia Pro is what this was. So it was the first.
That was. Actually, we'll talk about this.
We'll talk about it with our guests this week, I suppose.
I don't know. You can say what you want about other meets and everything, but I still don't know if anyone makes a meet that looks that cool.
Yeah.
Like they got it down how to put on a show.
Yep, it is.
Like a lot of meets, you're lucky to get a backdrop with sponsored logos that are legible on it.
Yep, that's right.
And here they're onto like big ass video boards. It's just a totally different vibe at these things, and they pay out pretty crazy money too.
Yeah, I think the three they paid out for the top three at least. I saw them holding the checks. You know, Ashton Ruska won, and that they all had
$15,000 or something.
Yeah.
Not bad for a day
nothing to
of
shake
lifting.
a stick at.
You know, I'm sure he just woke up that morning and was like, "Oh, I'll go lift today," and then he made $15,000. Isn't that how that usually goes?
That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
You got anything for us to drink
I do.
over there this week?
I have a beverage for us, Tanner. We've done this one before.
Okay.
So I'm not going to make you play what's in the can.
Okay.
But you can try and take a guess at what the actual flavor is. But
I won't. Since
okay, you're not going to put the
since it's not
blindfold.
what's in the can. I won't put on my protective blindfold. I'll just
you'll skip the formalities.
Yeah.
Still good though.
Oh yeah, what is that? It's good.
I always enjoy reading the guesses on Discord.
You know, it's a sparkling water. Is it like it's creamy?
Like creamy in the way that cherry Coke is creamy?
Or? No, it's creamy and fruity. I don't know if it's. Oh, is it like it's like the orange creamsicle thing that you know, like the orange popsicle creamsicle. That's like my guess. Creamsicle.
There you go. Yeah. Orange vanilla.
Orange vanilla. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it took me a second. It really tastes like those orange creamsicle.
Yeah,
that's what the flavor is.
This is a good one though. This is one of the good ones. One of the best.
It's very good, and that's
Polar.
Polar.
People at Polar are onto something over there.
They know how to do it to them, don't they?
Their flavor profiles are dialed in.
I do like it. Someone had a really interesting one. Was that today? I shared it in our story. I want to check if that's still out there. Oh yeah, this one.
Was that vanilla?
Vanilla cherry soda.
Well, didn't we get that one sent to us?
Well, that was the ugly that we had, right?
No, that was the ugly was cherry. Did we get those? Or was it the root beer ones that they sent us from Canada?
Yeah, I don't think we had, because this would be essentially vanilla cherry Coke, and I think I would have remembered if we would have had that.
Yeah, you're right. I'm getting, because I'm thinking of, was that when we discovered the labels in Canada for root beer are pink?
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I think
what's this brand then? Is it just called Sparklin' Water with an exclamation point or something like that?
I don't know. There's just like weird Canadian writing on it.
President's Choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But I want one of those President's Choice vanilla, or what is that? Vanilla cherry cola.
Be pretty good, I bet.
Yes, it would be. Do you know who David Byrne is?
David Burns?
Yeah. We've been listening to quite a bit of Talking Heads.
Yeah.
And
like any specific one, or just
all of it.
Okay.
Really all of it. And they're just so wacky. Like that whole group, they're also like, have you seen watched them before, and like their just basically their shtick and the way that they look and on the way that perform.
Okay, I think I'm thinking of the wrong thing too.
Yeah, David. Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
David Burns. Is it David or Dave? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of Ken Burns.
Who's Ken?
He
You're
does all
thinking
the
of Mr. Burns from.
No. Those I don't know who Dave. I do not know.
Oh, you don't know?
No, I'm thinking of. Is it Ken?
Okay. I don't know who Ken Burns is. I know who Mr. Burns is.
Yeah, Ken Burns is the one that has all like the PBS documentaries where it's like photos of the Civil War soldier, and here they're doing this, and that's Ken Burns. Yeah, he has all these war documentaries.
This is a good picture of David Burns right here. David Byrne. There should be no S at the end. David Byrne and the Talking Heads. This is what he looks like.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh,
so what is this?
He's you've never heard the like David Byrne. I shouldn't say you've never heard of him. I barely can remember his name, but like I don't know what his most popular songs are.
Like he's a member of the.
Like it's his band.
He's a member of the Talking Heads, the band.
Right, right.
I thought you were saying like Talking Heads. So that's also a thing when people talk on camera. It's the Talking Head.
Oh no, I'm saying literally like the musical group.
I'm thinking Ken Burns documentary, a person talking on the screen. That's what I'm like. Oh, what one? Like I'm thinking you're like listening to documentaries all the time.
No.
Whoo,
yeah,
man. Okay.
I don't know what their most favorite. I don't know the titles of their songs
Talking
even.
Heads,
Yes.
When you find yourself.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I feel better that Psycho Killer. This must be the place. That's maybe
that's the one.
Burning down the house.
Yep. They have a very much a cult following.
Yeah. I wonder what all they're on. Like, what do you think are their drugs of choice?
Probably a lot of stuff. Yeah, that is, wow, that took a long time to get there, Tanner. That probably took me way too long to get there.
But you know what the important thing is?
I got there.
We got there.
Yep. Talking Heads. That is funny.
You know what the other important thing here is?
That we read ads.
Yes. I want to tell you about Hybrid Performance. Hybrid Performance Method is your solution to strength. No BS training, nutrition, and education for the hybrid athlete. You can get access to proven training programs that have delivered life-changing gains and podium finishes for thousands of people. Take your training and nutrition to the next level. Get a personalized nutrition plan, plus a dedicated coach in your corner, helping you navigate your nutrition journey. Head into every workout and every day knowing that you will be challenged and end the day better than when you started. Visit them at hybridperformancemethod.com, and when you're there, make sure to use our discount code. Of course, that's MASS, M-A-S-S, and that'll save you a whopping 5% off the entire lifetime of that subscription that you have there, whether it's a nutrition subscription, a training subscription, or their app, any of those, 5% off for your entire life forever.
Can't afford to not do
Essentially millions of dollars it comes out to. If you put pen to paper and really calculate it out, it's millions of dollars. Now, should we get our guest on the horn?
Let's do it.
You know what we got to do before we do that, though?
What?
We got to say goodbye to our other friends.
Oh, okay.
Goodbye, neighbors.
Goodbye, Discord.
I said no, wait. Okay.
Too late. They're gone.
Now we'll get our other guests on the horn.
There it is.
Maybe.
Hello?
Big Sean, is this you?
This is, sir. How are you?
Great. This is Tanner and Tommy. You're live on the Massenomics podcast.
What's up, Sean?
Tanner and Tommy. How you guys doing?
We're great. We're great.
good.
We're excited to get you on here.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. We're just going to hop right into all kinds of questions that we've got for you, if that's all right with you.
Sounds good. Absolutely.
I guess just a tiny bit of background. First, you're number 2 USAPL lifter, 83 kilogram class. I think at Nationals this last year, you got second to just Mr. Orhe. Is that correct?
Well, based on overall ranking, so based on totals, I'm second, but I actually got injured at this year's nationals. So
Oh,
I
right.
took,
That's
yep,
right. Yeah. Okay.
yep. But yeah, for the past several years, based on nationals performances as well as, just total rankings, I'm sitting at number 2 right now in the 83s.
Okay. Excellent. So, first question then is, we obviously know that there's been big changes in the USAPL and the IPF world. We don't specifically only cover that portion of powerlifting, but we are aware of it. We don't know as much as someone that's heavily involved in it as you, but our first question would be, so what are you doing? Going forward, are you doing USAPL or Powerlifting America?
So that's a great question. I actually just put out a YouTube video today.
We saw that just before we were getting ready, and we're like,
"Oh, no way!"
We really should have had time to watch this,
been
but
the perfect homework assignment here.
We didn't. So we don't know what was out there on that. So it'll be news to us.
Yeah. So my plans are, I've talked about it on a couple podcasts too, and like from a moral standpoint, for people who might not know, basically the USAPL has done third-party testing to accomplish more drug testing, but with the IPF wanting them to be WADA compliant, they wanted the USAPL to be subject to explicitly or exclusively WADA tests, but because of how much more expensive those are, the USAPL wouldn't have been able to test at the frequency they wanted to, so eventually there was a split because this couldn't be reconciled. But with how frequently a lot of countries in the IPF test, I think from a moral standpoint, I side with the USAPL, and with what's been laid out with the whole pro series setup and what's promised, and I think that the USAPL has been doing a good job of like getting, people who are more in the trenches, some of the younger people who are coaching and are more involved. The USAPL is doing a better job getting them, involved in administrative decisions and media stuff. So overall, I'm optimistic for the USAPL. But for this coming year, my plan is to do Powerlifting America, solely because, obviously with nationals getting injured, I wasn't really able to put up any sort of performance indicative of what training was like. And I know Russell Orhe is wanting to go the IPF route this year because I think his long-term goal is, to do like Sheffield, which is like the big money meet that SBD is putting on. And, for me, I really like the layout that they've come up with for this pro series. Like, this past weekend in Virginia looked really cool. But what drives me as a competitor is that head-to-head within weight classes. And it's just been years of back and forth between Russ and me. And, that is the ultimate goal for me in this sport. Like, I want to win the 83 kilo weight class. And I think that if I were to just abandon that, it would be very unfulfilling for me as a lifter.
That makes sense. As it's hard to say now because the USAPL with this whole thing is so new, but if over time more and more people start to, leave the Powerlifting America IPF branch and go to the USAPL route, does that start to take some of the shine off of going after a world title? Like with the idea that a lot of the top competitors are in America. And if they do move, like, does that make a world title seem less appealing or less exciting?
So, I definitely think so. And I think that this has already been an issue. And it's probably why a lot of, high level USAPL lifters decided to stay. Because in a lot of weight classes, especially on the men's side, the US does dominate. And you'll see so many, weight classes where 1 through 5 in USAPL at nationals could win a world championship if any of them were selected, but just based on the nomination process, only one person per weight class per country is allowed to go. It's not like the Olympics where you can have a podium that's all American, right? It's one person selected. So I think that's already led a lot of people to stay. You look at Ashton Ruska, you look at Brandon Petrie. A lot of these guys are would-be contenders at the IPF level, but choose to stay. And with powerlifting, it is true that anything could happen, but it's a lot more cut and dry than playing baseball or football, where there's a lot more variables that anybody really could win on the day. But I ultimately think the USAPL wins out long term. I think that the USAPL, has freed up a lot of cash in not paying dues to the IPF. You have a lot of the top competitors staying. Sponsorships are not exclusive to the IPF. And, I'm hearing rumors that like other countries are going to leave and, participate in this international umbrella that the USAPL is looking to create long term.
So hypothetically, what if, well, first of all, everything you're saying makes total sense to me. I get that decision process for sure. But what if tomorrow Russ said, for whatever reason, he said, yeah, actually I changed my mind. I'm going USAPL route instead. Would that influence you at all? Because of the competition thing, especially with him being, you two, like you said, going back and forth, would something like that ever potentially sway your decision short term? Or would you be okay.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess to be very, very cut and dry about it, I genuinely don't care about the IPF World Championship.
Okay. So it is really the competition with Russ then at that point.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, with the landscape of 83 kilo competitors, Brett Gibbs has been out for quite a while, and he was like the international standard as an 83.
Yep.
But once he stopped competing, right, the pinnacle of the weight class has existed in the US. And my sole goal is to just, primarily compete against Russ, but at a more fundamental level, just go where the competition is. And
right.
The next most competitive lifter is also a US lifter, Delaney Wallace. And he's a friend of mine. I've spoken to him and I asked him, what are your plans? Are you looking to do Powerlifting America Nationals? Are you looking to stay? And he was like, I'm just waiting to see what you guys do.
Right.
Like, I want to compete against you.
Yeah.
I want to compete against you two. So whatever ends up happening, I'm going to give myself the best chance to compete against you guys. So yeah, I mean, if he decided to come back, then I would stay. That would make, my life easier because, I almost feel, like I'm almost going back on what I believe on a principle level, because I definitely do side with the USAPL from a moral standpoint, but I'm letting my own, selfish desires kind of override that. So, I mean, I think it would make things easier for me if that were the case. But yeah, I haven't spoken to Russ about it, but I know that that's what he's looking to do in the short term. As far as the future, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's
that's what like, as someone that follows this stuff, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over like the next year and a half, 2 years, as more contests get up and going and people have more chances to compete and more money's involved and just better incentives to compete in USAPL.
Well, and you said the competition. So does the scoring, whatever, whether it's dots or good lift points or whatever the scoring is used across multiple weight classes, does that interest you at all? Like, say, for example, the Virginia Pro style, or are you more interested in the specific weight class competition?
I'm definitely more interested in the specific weight class competition.
Yeah.
I think I compare the Pro Series is very comparable to me to like the Arnold, which for me I've done almost every year, and I think it's one of the most fun meets to compete in. But to me, it's like a showcase, right? It's like an all-star game or,
right.
A home run derby type thing where it's like, all right, everybody just shows what they have. And obviously having a standardizing score allows you to compete against other people. But I mean, to me, it's not the same, right? You're not ever, training in the heart of an off season and looking to see what Ray Williams is hitting. And you're like, oh, well, his dots is 5 points higher than mine. I better step up my shit. It's like, no, you're comparing yourself directly to the guy that you're either going to win against or lose against. So for me, if the federation doesn't prioritize like the weight class head to head, which has obviously been the big difference between, the untested side of powerlifting and the tested side,
right?
Because so much of the untested side has just become these big, money meets where everyone just competes against everyone and it's based on an overall.
Yep.
Like, those meets are fun to watch from a spectator standpoint. And, like I said, I've had fun competing in meets like the Arnold, but for me, the soul of competing and like that, grit and the rivalries and all that stuff, it's like that to me is what's exciting. And I don't think you get that without, going head to head directly against someone in your class.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Bringing up the Ray Williams part of it is, the extreme example where it's like, what? How is it working out that this is what I'm comparing myself to?
Yeah, I like to think of some really lightweight guy being like, oh, if I did this, I could get Ray by like 3 Wilkes points. Something that makes no
nobody's
sense.
thinking like that.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think? Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say was I wasn't at the Pro Invitational because, neither, myself or Daniela, my girlfriend did it. But I would imagine if you were, Marcellus coaching, Ashton and Petrie and all them, it was probably just a mess trying to calculate, what you needed based on good lift points, comparing across all these different people's, weight classes and totals and stuff like that. It's just a mess. So yeah, it's a cool setup, but I really hope that the USAPL still preserves that, or rather prioritizes the marketing and the excitement still for the national level events, and doesn't just completely go full bore with the pro series with dissolved weight classes.
Well, at a certain point, the weight classes dissolved is the right word. Where if that's the standard, at a certain point, they don't need to exist. It's just you weigh what you weigh, and that's how you fit into your formula.
Well, and even just think from a marketing standpoint, building up the Clash in the 83s is way cooler than we're Ray Williams against Sean Noriega. That doesn't really make sense,
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's like if you go on YouTube and you look up some of the most watched, powerlifting matchups, literally the one that comes to mind most, in the most extreme way is Daniela Mello, Amanda Lawrence at Worlds in 2019. Right. I think that White Lights Media video has 5 million views, something ridiculous like that. Watching that head to head, and obviously the way that it was filmed, influences, the viewability of it. But clearly with several million people watching it, it's drawing, attention from people who aren't involved in powerlifting. And, you watch that video, you see two girls who are very similar builds, very similar strength. They're literally in the same weight class. And it's enticing to watch. You can feel the tension, you can feel the back and forth. And I think that you lose that when you just have this, flight of lifters going from 66 kilos up to, 120.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't feel the, ooh, that person missed and now this person has the upper hand. You're just taking each lifter as their own. And to me, that just ruins the high, it takes away the stakes of the meet. It's exciting in a fun way, but it's not exciting in a nail biting way.
No, that makes sense. So the USAPL Pro Circuit or Pro Series, what do you think specifically of that word or that designation pro? Does that excite you or interest you, or do you think it's irrelevant or silly, or just wondering? I mean, how do you take that?
So I think that the designation overall is a positive. So I think that a lot has to happen for pro to really mean something for a lot of people, right? As long as Ashton Ruska is doing meets, nobody's winning any significant cash if the payout structure is what it is now, because he's just going to clean sweep pretty much every comp.
Yeah.
But I think that it's important to take yourself seriously in that regard. I think a lot of people in powerlifting and in fitness tend to be very self-deprecating or downplay what it is that they're doing. So I think it's important that we take the step and are yes, this is a professional sport now, because I really do think the USAPL can succeed with this structure. And if they're trying to become the new international umbrella, but they're treating it like a real pro sport with the lights and the walk-ups and all that stuff, it very much reminds me of, a UFC type setup where if you really put the effort in to nail it, I think that a lot of lifters can end up, making a decent amount of money from it. I think, it's not going to be, have as much of a draw as a lot of other, sports, maybe not the draw of actual, UFC or anything like that. But I do think that it's important to, give the designation and act the part, before taking the steps down the road to hopefully make it a more, lucrative endeavor for a lot of these lifters.
Yeah. How did you feel about Candido's profile picture leading up to nationals this last year?
So I mean, I didn't support him putting that up.
you didn't
like you didn't tell him.
Yeah, like, no, seriously, do this. Like here,
Johnny,
I cropped this
picture.
image for you. Like here, please put this on your profile.
No, I absolutely did not. Like that's the one thing. That's the one thing that like I've always made a point about like emphasizing, which is that, you know, going into competitions, I'm never gonna say I'm gonna do X, Y, or Z, right? Like I very much have respect for the fact that you have to be able to do your best on the day. And it doesn't matter what's going on leading up to it. Like you have to show up and be able to execute. And like, if you're a betting man, you're going to bet on Russ every time, right? Because even though, you know, on paper, we were very comparable, you know, anybody speculating would look at past performances and draw conclusions from it, right? You can only, you know, you have to look to history to make any sort of, you know, confident conclusion about what's going to happen. I felt very confident in my own ability, but I remember at the time that Johnny did that, he just kind of sent it in the group chat that we're in and was like, "Hey, fuck it! Like I made this my profile picture." And the thing, like Johnny and I are really good friends, but I know that like I can't tell him to do shit. Yeah. Like if he wants to put that up, like I'm not going to be able to convince him otherwise. So yeah, I mean I was definitely not a fan of that. Like I don't, you know, it's funny, but like I guess the thing that I didn't want was like people to think that I like co-signed that because
and you assume a lot of people probably will think that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that I was saying before. It's like I've always made it a point to not speak before I do things. And, you know, I would only ever, you know, make the claim that I could do something if I did it. And going into nationals, right, it was training is training. Training means nothing, right? You have to be able to actually accomplish the thing to say that you did it. So, you know, I didn't want people thinking that I was saying I was going to do this or do that. You know, I have my own, you know, confidence and belief in my ability to execute, but you know, there's only so much I can control. So
do you think you'll talk Johnny into doing that again before the next time you and Russ compete?
Hopefully not. Hopefully Johnny doesn't do that again.
Maybe he'll do maybe he's one step ahead and he knows it has an ability to jinx people. So maybe he'll use that to his advantage.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Okay. No,
Did you okay, on the topic of Powerlifting America, did you see, was there like, did I run across like a troll page that someone set up on Instagram? Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
Oh, it's still up.
Oh, yeah, is it still there?
What's it
called? What's hilarious about that troll page is that when Powerlifting America, like the real federation, started their Instagram, the troll page told people on their story to report the real one as a fake. And because the fake one had so many followers, they got the real one taken down.
Wow.
And like the first red flag is, I don't know what it was tagged in, because I think I was reading a comment and someone tagged it in good faith, the wrong one. And I clicked on it because I was unfamiliar with it at the time. And one of the first posts I read said something like, you know, so happy to be a part of the IPF and our continued goal to drug test 0 people. It was something along those lines. And I'm like, whoa, that's a really weird way of phrasing that. And then
it was something like the bare minimum.
Yeah, to do the bare minimum test.
I imagine that's causing a little bit of heartburn and stuff for the real people behind the real federation and stuff, but that's pretty funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Someone's
it's amazing.
Doing good work there. Who do you think the best power couple is in powerlifting?
The best power couple. I'm biased, man. I'm going to have to say me and Daniela.
What would be your competition? Does anyone come to your mind?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess like Michael C and Jasmine Penn, right? They're you know, Michael's placed I think second in the 74s and Jasmine's won the 76s. Trying to think who else there is. I feel like I'm not familiar with too many.
The only other one that came to my mind when I thought about it on the untested side of powerlifting would be Joe Sullivan and Briani.
No, there's a good one right there too.
Yeah. So power coupling.
It's quite the matchup.
Do you and your girlfriend, do you talk about powerlifting all the time, as little as possible, or somewhere in between?
Probably not that much, honestly. Like
Okay.
I mean, so I definitely am one to talk about it more, usually within the context of like my own training, because I'm just just putting it bluntly, like I'm very obsessive about my own lifting. Like I'm just like always thinking ahead, whenever things are going well, I'm very excited about it. When they're not going well, I'm fixated on how to do things better. But, within a day to day, I would say that we don't really talk about it that much. Daniela has a lot of different things that she loves to do and is interested in. And like powerlifting is like, I would say amongst other things, like there are other things that she does where powerlifting is like equally as much of her time. So I wouldn't say it's, she's definitely not one of those people who's made it as much of her identity or, allocates as much energy toward it from a mental standpoint, like as I do. So yeah, no, I mean, probably not too much.
Yeah, I can picture that. Sometimes it's frustrating. There's people like that where it's almost like they're not as worried about it and they're still just as good.
Yeah. You're supposed to devote all of your waking moments to talking about it.
Yeah. Like, why are you still so good at it?
Yeah, right. No, I mean, it's funny because like when Daniela, when she first started powerlifting, I think the first time that she ever deadlifted, she deadlifted 3 plates. The first time she ever squatted, she squatted 3 plates. Like it's just absurd stuff.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
when she first started powerlifting, I think she very quickly like rose to the top, and it almost happened at a pace that she didn't expect because she did her first meet in summer of 2016 and she qualified for nationals, and she was like, she had she signed up for a meet not knowing what powerlifting really was at a higher level. And she was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I guess I'll do nationals. And then her first national, she takes second. Right. So it's like one of those things that she was just very gifted in from an early point in time where she went very, very quickly from doing something for enjoyment to, oh shit, like I'm the best at this. I guess I'm, going ham on powerlifting training. So, she's taken a hiatus from competing, and I know that she's itching to get back to it, but I think that it's been, I think good for her mentally that she hasn't been as like, she's not as like obsessive about it as some other people, because I think she did get thrown into it like very, very quickly at a high level. And, it almost, like I said, it, almost happened like too fast to even realize like, oh shit, like I have, so much riding on, winning nationals or winning worlds kind of thing. And I think that she's enjoyed the decompression time and is excited to start competing again.
Yeah, Tanner and I can relate to that because a lot of times we do things and we're like, whoa, we're accidentally the best in the world with this. Like, let's slow down. We have to pump the brakes a lot because our skill level and everything is just so ridiculous.
It's like, I really stumbled into that one on accident.
Oh, not again. Jeez.
I just won the bobsled gold medal.
Great. Put it with the other ones. We kind of have your reputation with our listeners that it's kind of a joke. We don't talk sets and reps is kind of a thing. And sometimes our listeners will try and goad us into talking about sets and reps, but this isn't exactly sets and reps, but I did have a question to you about more about technique. It was kind of something Tommy and I were talking about earlier, where you are a lifter that certainly has some, I don't know if perfectly unique, unique. I don't know if unique exactly in the sense that nobody else lifts exactly like you do, but different than maybe what exactly normal is. And I know you have a team of coaches and you coach a lot of lifters, and something I see from a lot of lifters, maybe a lot of beginners or even intermediates and stuff, is they have this idea that they see someone else lift a certain way and they want to try and emulate their lifts after that person. That line of thought, does that make sense to you? Is that bad thinking? And I think it's particularly an interesting question with you two, because you have, kind of these unique
execution
of lifts. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the perspective of emulating like highly powerlifting specific technique, I definitely think is a negative. I've talked about this a bunch of times, and how, it's great that so many young kids are finding powerlifting, in that it's provided them organization and understanding training in a quantifiable way, and they're not just going into the gym and just doing dumb shit. But I think that there is some value to kind of that, like when I started lifting, like the context in which I lifted was, bodybuilding stuff. Like people liked doing, the big three, but when you're in high school, at least when I was in high school, people just wanted to get jacked. Right. And I think that is a very like sensitive period of your life as a newer lifter, where you have an opportunity to build a ton of muscle, to learn how to move in so many different directions through various ranges of motion. And like a lot of the people that you see start powerlifting at a young age, and they just throw themselves into this, like, I need to have SBD days. I need to do the competition lift 3+ times a week. I need to, get an arch on bench press. It's like, you're completely missing the point, right? It's like you have such an opportunity to just build a ton of muscle, or at least try to, right? And I think that you almost limit yourself in trying to just maximize technique when you have, like 14-inch arms kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. What the hell is your sleep or life schedule like? Because didn't you say that you go to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning normally?
Yeah, no, I'm a mess, man. So like it's growing up, I never, I guess, slept that much. Like, when you go to high school or whatever, you're in school by 7 a.m. and I would be able to live off of, 5 hours of sleep. Once I got to college, that wasn't the case, because as you get older and things get more taxing and stressful, you feel it when you don't sleep. But I just developed a habit being in college of, staying up super late to do work and pulling all-nighters from time to time. And my schedule day to day was usually to wake up, go to class, eat, train until maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, eat again, and then start doing work or studying at 11. So I would usually work from like 11 to 4, 11 to 5, and then wake up, fairly late, 11, 12. I worked a normal person job at one point, and I had to reverse that schedule for about a year. But since taking on coaching full time, it's just been easy to fall back into those patterns. I try at times to get back into some semblance of a healthy sleep schedule, but yeah, I mean, there's something about, at least for me, being up late and feeling more productive when everyone else is asleep and it feels like the world is asleep. I feel like that time to myself, I can just think better and work better. Whereas during the day, I feel like there's so much going on. And obviously with me, just answering clients all day, I don't feel like I have the mental clarity or the time to even like sit down and do things that I need to work on, obviously outside of, answering lifters. But yeah, I mean, I'm usually up until, say, on average, maybe 3. But there are certainly days where I push past that for sure.
So you're saying if your lifters want to get a hold of you, they should just shoot for like midnight to 3. That's the best time.
Exactly. Like I have so many responsible lifters who like train in the morning and have normal jobs and all that stuff. And, I'll wake up every day to like 15, text messages from people who trained early in the morning. But yeah, I mean, and also, with having international lifters, it's another excuse to stay up late. I have lifters who are in Australia, for example, where, right around that time of the middle of the night for me is when they're training. So I'm all over.
Would you say like average? Are you averaging 6 hours of sleep a night?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's gotten to the point where if I don't sleep enough consistently, like I'll feel it. I'm not I'm not able to subsist off of minimal sleep, especially with training. I definitely feel it when I don't. So I'm definitely getting good sleep. It's just my schedule is shifted back pretty hard.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would struggle with, you put it in the lights of the positives of what you can do at that evening time when you have the free time. My anxiety would get the best of me though. Like once I go to bed at 4 and then say I kind of wake up and it's 9 a.m. and I'm like, shit, what am I missing right now?
What bomb went off while I was sleeping?
Yeah. That I wouldn't be able to relax good enough once I felt like everyone else was doing something. I'd feel like I'm missing out on something I need to be doing.
No, that's very fair. Like I definitely get that feeling if I go to bed, really, really late and then wake up really late.
Yeah, right.
Like for example, the other day I had a female lifter competing. She's from Hungary and she was competing at the European Championship. So it's like the next level below IPF. And it was on Sunday, and Sunday's the day that I do the majority of my programming. And I usually finish around like 4. Like Sundays are usually my latest night. I start working early on in the day and it usually takes until the middle of the night. And that's when she started competing. And originally I was like, she's, we've gone over attempts already. She's getting, she has her handler, whatever. I'll just wake up and then that'll be probably around the time she finishes. But I was up at the time that she was squatting, and like she went 3 for 3 with a big squat PR. And then like the girl that was competing with her for bronze missed her third squat and she was behind by a lot. So I was like, oh shit, I got to stay up for this. And then I ended up going to sleep at like literally 8 a.m.
So I will try again in a day, I guess.
Yeah, trying to fall asleep when it's just straight up bright outside is not great.
Yeah. Your apparel business looks like it's expanded quite a bit in the last year, or I don't know, recently it's grown probably quite a bit. We've been doing apparel for quite a while, and so we have experience with that. I'm wondering how you feel. What do you think about that? Are you enjoying it, or just any thoughts on the apparel game?
Trials and tribulations,
right.
lessons.
Yeah. No, I'm loving this. Like it is honestly one of my like favorite professional endeavors. So I guess to give some additional context, like I have always been like despite, going the STEM route academically, have always been just like more personally inclined growing up, toward like art, and like I used to act and I wanted to be an actor. So like having creative endeavors for me at this point has been like very rewarding. And like I've enjoyed, working with the designers that I have in the design process, and like I'm just very thankful that people are supporting it the way that they have. The biggest struggle for me is definitely like marketing, because I know that that's not something I'm well versed in at all, and I don't have someone who does it for me. And I think that that's probably something that's, definitely a necessary step that I'll have to undertake sooner rather than later, if I want it to grow to the level that I want to see it at. But yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing that's held things back. But overall, I mean, yeah, I started the business October of 2020. And since then, I mean, it's been, each launch has been bigger than the last. This next one that I have coming up, I have like 11 or 12 items dropping, and usually it's been 2 or 3 at most. So
right.
I'm really excited for it, but then also obviously nervous. Like,
right.
Like, am I gonna? I'm very confident that people are going to like everything. I put a lot of effort into figuring out which blanks I wanted to use with things.
Yeah.
The designs themselves. Like I'm very confident in that. It's just more so, am I going to get this in front of enough eyes to sell to the the level that I want? And I think my Instagram has certainly been hit by some shadow banning, or at least decreased engagement over the past year. So that's definitely not helped.
Is that because of something specifically you were doing that you could pinpoint, or?
So I think honestly, like, okay, I genuinely got shadow banned last year during the election cycle, and then that was completely let up. But I noticed just engagement wise, I have like 48,000 followers, and it used to be the case that every story post I would put up would get like anywhere between like 9 and 12,000 views. And since around that time, like I've been lucky to average like a little over 4,000. So, you know, I don't know if that's ever reconcilable, you know, if there's ever any solution to this, but just noticing stuff like that, you know, I realize that, okay, you know, I need to put that much more effort into, you know, marketing the apparel, which means, you know, maybe putting more effort into the photo shoots that we do, or maybe, you know, having more people post it, whatever it might be. You know, I just recognize that there's a lot more work to be done on the promotional side, you know, if I want to sell at the level that I want to sell at.
Yeah,
we understand literally everything you said. As conversations we've had.
As crazy as it is, like,
know.
actually making the product is like 20% of the work, and, and the marketing is like 80% of it.
Oh, absolutely.
It is funny too. Like, you talked about how you excited about new stuff. It's funny, and maybe you haven't experienced this, but probably will at some point in time, how certain things, usually you have a pretty good beat on it of what's going to be success, you know, what's going to be very successful. Some you're a little less sure about. And, but it is sometimes you get surprised where you're like, really, that's the thing that was the best item out of that group of, like, that's the one that resonated best
the
with
second
people.
you feel like you start to have the audience figured out, like the one that you think like this is a home run just does nothing, and the one you think, why are we even releasing this? How did we get to this point? Kills it. And like it'll happen to you at some point if it hasn't already. But yeah, it is weird how that goes.
Yeah, I've definitely, and that's the thing. It's the I guess dilemma of deciding between like what you personally think is, you know, going to sell, and, you know, it's hard to remove those biases, and then what ends up actually selling. I did have one product like that actually in my last launch, where from the previous launch I had doubled the inventory I ordered just because of how quickly the previous one had sold out. And there was one shirt that I, you know, more than doubled. I was like, okay, this design is just so in depth. Like, the colors are sick. I was like, this one is definitely going to sell. And it was the worst one out of all of them. And I probably can attribute some of that, like I said, to the marketing for it. Cause this is the other thing that I was going to mention that I'm sure you guys have dealt with. It's like, whenever you think you can have stuff ready by, it usually takes like several more weeks.
True.
Whether it's the rate limiting step is with the designer, whether it's with the printer, like, it's gonna happen at some point or another. So that launch ended up being, you know, I put a launch date. I was like, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna have enough time, and then it just got to the point where things got delayed. It ended up being more rushed than I wanted to, and probably wasn't able to promote stuff since I didn't have it on hand with enough time. But yeah, there was one shirt. It was like the Terminator one that I had done, and I was like, oh yeah, this one's gonna crush it, and then it just didn't. I was like, what the fuck? This was easily we spent the most time on this design. This is easily the most expensive one to make. I was like, this one's definitely gonna be the best, and it just, I don't know. So, you know, you learn. You know, sometimes the really simple ones do well. Like the No Bad Days ones that I released, I've restocked that shirt like 3 times. I've probably sold like several hundred of those. Like, it's just been, you know, that one's been a hot seller. So, you know, it's hard because there are things that I'll make as drafts and I'm like, this is fucking sick. And then I'll send it to people that I really, you know, whose opinions I really trust. And they're like, And then there will be,
like, wait a second, I no longer trust your opinion. You're wrong.
Right?
I know best.
And then there will be others that I'm just indifferent about, and they're like, yep, fucking sell it. And then they end up doing well. So it's interesting, because when it comes to something that's like so, you know, important to us, this, you know, trying to put what we believe our brand represents into art, we're putting it on clothing. It has this like very, you know, sentimental value, and it's hard to clear away those biases because they are so strong. And, you know, other people might resonate with your brand, but like when they see something, they're going to interpret it very differently than you do. But that's been the fun part of it, just trying to figure out what you think people will like, but then that also you feel are true to the brand, and, you know, balancing those two things.
I think that's very well said. For anyone that's ever curious about some of the, what that is like, I think that's really, really well said and really accurate.
That is. And like, you don't want to every design run it by, like turn it into a committee thing. Like, hey, does everyone like this? Like, yeah, you can do that to an extent, but at some point it's like, well, are you running the business or are you just like shopping it all out to let everyone else decide if it's going to be good or not? And also people will say they like things and then not buy it too. So you can't base it on that either. You just got to go with it at some point.
Absolutely.
No, that's cool. So we've got this game we like to play. We love to play it, actually. We play it with every single guest that we have on, and it's called Overrated or Underrated. And we handpicked a certain number of Nori topics for you. They're special handpicked for you, and we'll read them off, and it's your job to decide if they're overrated or underrated. You can elaborate that on that as much or as little as you'd like to. But the main thing to remember is you do have to come up with an overrated or underrated at the end. You cannot ride the line. So if you're ready to play, we'll fire them over at you.
All right, let's do it.
Overrated or underrated? Lateral raises.
Underrated. Absolutely. From a body, so I've always just for some reason enjoyed doing them from a personal standpoint. Like when I first started lifting, I hated doing arms, as many people can probably tell by my very underwhelming, bicep size. But when I first started lifting, I just loved doing, squats, deadlifts, lunges, all that sort of stuff. But the one upper body exercise that I loved doing was shoulders. For whatever reason, I just loved doing lateral raises. And I remember, I worked with Alberto Nunez as a nutrition coach for a couple years, and he was definitely a great mentor for me. And we always talked about bodybuilding stuff because I told him, whenever I hit my midlife crisis, I'm gonna hit you up for bodybuilding coaching. And he's just always talked about, if you want big shoulders, the lateral raises are going to be better than any pressing movement that you can do. So, I don't know how much carryover it's giving any power lifter, but I think if you want to look jacked, you better do your lateral raises, and you can fucking crush yourself with them. Like, it'd be pretty hard to overdo it on lateral raises.
Do you have like one or two tips for how to do the best lateral raise?
Honestly, yeah, I really like doing them single armed. Like, you see a lot of people just doing, both arms, just dumbbell lateral raises. I really like doing one arm at a time. I tend to do a lot of unilateral work for bodybuilding. I just find that it's a lot easier if you can make the limiter or the bottleneck, the actual muscle that you're trying to fatigue. I think doing them one arm at a time is really good. I really like doing them with like a forward lean. Like, I think it just lines up better with the fiber orientation of the delt. I like doing cable lateral raises, both leaning toward the machine or away from the machine, depending on if I'm trying to bias the lengthened or shortened position. But yeah, I've gotten really into a lot of just bodybuilding stuff in the off season. So,
well, that's good.
I'm all about it.
So
yeah,
the moral
underrated
is
for sure.
And do your lateral raises then. Right?
Do your damn lateral raises.
Okay. All right, good stuff. Overrated or underrated? MIT.
Ooh. That's a tough one. I'm gonna say, oh man, you're making me think. You're making me think about a lot of stuff here.
So yeah,
there's a process.
There's a lot going on. Run us through what's going on here.
Yeah, let's do some fleshing out of a thought process here, because on one hand, I'm like, well, I'm not using my degree for shit right now, so you'd probably be like, all right, this is overrated.
Well, a lot of people can sympathize with that regardless of where they went to school, though. So that's
fair. That's fair, but it's it definitely, from a personal standpoint, felt like a big, it was a big decision and a very stressful one to go from like, all right, I have an engineering degree and I'm pre-med and I'm working at the NIH. Nah, fuck it. Let me drop all that and start coaching powerlifting. So, yeah.
What was there some people in your family that was like, yeah, that's the right move, or was there
everyone like
hesitation on that?
What?
So I was very lucky that my parents overall have been like very supportive of everything that I've done. So to not get into too much backstory, my dad actually went to MIT.
Okay.
And at no point in growing up did he push me to go or even apply. And in fact, like right before I went, he was like, I never pushed you to go here because it was miserable. He was like, it's just a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be, he's like, the big thing he told me is like, you're going to be humbled when you're there. He was absolutely right. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly, the thing that makes me say underrated, I think I'm gonna go with underrated. And the reason I say that is, I'll meet random people and they'll ask where I went to school. And honestly, way fewer people know what MIT is than I thought.
Really?
Like if I
I
said
thought that that's
Harvard,
like, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was like up
if
there
I
with
said
Harvard.
Harvard, everyone would be like, oh, like, whatever,
ugh.
big man. But
Yeah.
people are like, is that in Michigan? Is that in New York?
Wow.
What is that? So, from just a general consensus standpoint, I'll say that there are far fewer people who know like the magnitude of it than I thought there would be. But honestly, like from a personal development standpoint, degree stuff aside, for me, I think that having been put in the situation of like, if you're not ahead, you're behind, and like there are a lot of times where you're going to put everything into something, and it's still not going to go your way. Like you're told as a kid, you work hard at whatever, and you'll get, as long as you work hard at things, you try your hardest, you'll succeed, whatever. And it's like, nah, there are plenty of times you'll bust your ass and you still won't. And I think that when it happens in a semi-controlled environment, like in academics, I think it's almost, I think it's a good learning experience. Like I think it made me more resilient, from a just academic standpoint. Like I became a much better problem solver. But yeah, I mean, it was despite the fact that I'm not using my degree, and granted, my I guess opinion would be very different if I, had student loans to pay off or something like that. Like I was very fortunate that I didn't. But I definitely would not have it any other way. Having gone there was like huge for my personal development, and I think mostly because of just how difficult it was from a work standpoint. So yeah, I'll go underrated as my final answer.
All right,
That's good.
That was well thought out.
Is it at all like, is campus or the environment at all like what I would have seen on movies before, where like the Kevin Spacey Counting Cards movie, where there's say like a bunch of guys in glasses and pocket protectors like fine tuning their robots on the quad, or like that sort? Did you ever see that once?
So yes and no. I think I think the one thing that you learn when you get to MIT is that there are a lot of people who are like normal looking people who have varied interests who happen to be like complete geniuses.
Okay.
The way that MIT is set up from like a campus standpoint is there's an East Campus and there's a West Campus. And West Campus is where like a lot of the freshman dorms are, and also the dorms where like a lot of the athletes live. And then some of the on-campus like fraternity and sorority. So like that side of campus is the more, social side. And then, the east side of campus is a lot of the kids who like building stuff. Like, for example, when you get to campus for orientation the week before school starts, on East Campus, one of the like traditions of East Campus is that they'll literally build a roller coaster within like a week. They'll literally build like a mini roller coaster for the, incoming freshman class to like just try out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like the culture there. So like you'll definitely see far more of the stereotypical like MIT students in certain pockets on campus, usually on the east side of campus. But there's a very large portion of the student body that's like, you would just look at them, you'd be like, oh, you're a normal dude. Oh, you're a fucking genius. Oh, okay.
So do they also have like the 90s East Side West Side rivalry there too?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. That's what I like to imagine.
Okay. All right, that's cool. Overrated or underrated, Russell Orhe?
Definitely not overrated. I don't think he's overrated. I think that he's proven that he is, the best in our weight class. I think that he's proven that he can execute, as a power lifter. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Oh, that's tough. I feel like he's perfectly rated, but I can't say that it's. I can't ride the line.
Exactly. Yes.
It's always really tough when you ask someone that's like the best at something if they're overrated.
That's some of the
like, well, they're already ranked the highest, but are they overrated?
Yeah.
Could you give us a sound clip of saying that he's overrated, and we'll use that out of context?
I was just about to say, like, okay, what incriminating thing am I going to say?
I think if we've got you saying the word overrated in Russell's name, so I think we're good. I think we're good here.
Yeah, we can move on from that one. Then we got what we needed. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay, so this is the last one. Last one's always the most important, and it kind of everything comes down to the last one. Your performance of overrated, underrated comes down to that, and in fact, your entire performance of the podcast comes down to this. So it's very important. I just want to stress that first. Then I also want to say we managed to go this whole episode without talking about your bench arch, so we want to fix that. So overrated or underrated, McDonald's and their golden arches.
McDonald's and their golden arches. McDonald's is underrated for sure, especially their breakfast menu. I don't know if you guys have ever had McGriddles, but they are
McGriddles are good.
Perfect.
See, those don't do it for me.
Food.
Those do not do it for me.
Yeah.
What? Dude,
I really like McGriddles. It's the
McGriddles
juxtaposition
are
of
the
the
best
sweet and the savory.
See, no, I don't.
Dude,
no.
McGriddles are the best thing on McDonald's menu, and I will die on that hill.
No, to me, the best thing I've actually genuinely impressed is their new spicy chicken sandwich.
Oh, that is good. I've had that too.
I am down for that
Okay,
thing. That thing is.
I haven't had that.
They had to
kind of
keep
thought it was
up
all
on the spicy
yeah,
chicken
I thought it was all
sandwich
marketing
game,
hype, but I got to give them props on that.
That's
one.
pretty good too.
They pulled it off on that one. But yeah, McGriddles. I don't know. You guys are crazy.
I don't think McDonald's could be overrated. I think it's like regarded in the public as like garbage food. Like people just think it's for like absolute swamp donkeys. It's for people with dumpster palates.
Let's be clear. It is also for those people.
Oh yeah, those people do love it.
Yeah. Sure, absolutely. Yeah. But everybody loves it.
Yeah.
But I think that people try to act like it's just completely inedible. And it's always solid. Even if it's bad, it's just solid. I don't think that you're ever going to go to McDonald's, get a Big Mac, and be like, oh, this was worse than the Big Mac I expected. It's like, no, they just deliver what I'm a big fan of like fine dining. Like I go to very, very nice steakhouses and sushi restaurants and all this stuff. And I always say, like, you just adjust your palate down. Like, you know what you're getting, and they just meet that expectation every time.
Yeah, I think
consistency.
Their consistency is probably the best in the fast food industry.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to say underrated.
I think I agree with that. I'm not sure where I would have weighed in on that.
I would have had to do some thinking. That one,
I'm sold on.
I would have been I would have been leaning towards the line. So I would have had to debate this one a long time in my head to arrive at a conclusion.
And so, do you think you can arch more or less than the McDonald's arches? Like,
yeah, I'm gonna have to say they have me beat on that one.
Okay, they're pretty. I mean, it's severe arch.
Pretty archy. Yeah.
What about in comparison to the St. Louis, the gateway to the West arch?
I think they have me as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's
certainly
large.
I might not get a start command with my butt in the air, but we'll do our best.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. We got to talk about the bench arch then still. And really good news. You passed overrated, underrated then it looks like. So
excellent.
We will air
I was really
episode.
nervous there for a second.
Yeah, that was, if you don't pass, we don't air the episode. So there was a lot of pressure.
You just scrap it.
And your career would have certainly
for wasting your time.
Yeah, your career would have been very downhill from there. No, we that kind of wraps up most of what we wanted to talk to you about. We were really glad to get you on, and if you wanted to let people know, if coaching, apparel, any and all that stuff that you want to get out there, have at it.
Yeah, sure. I'll take no hesitation in the selfless, shameless plug.
This will be this is good. Once you do this, you're good for marketing for the next year. You don't have to worry about it.
Settled. This really solves that marketing puzzle that we were talking about earlier.
You don't got to worry about marketing at all.
I'll cancel my photo shoot for next week. I think it'll be good for this one. But yeah, I mean, if you want to follow me, my Instagram handle is @hamstringpoppy. If you're looking to shop Nori Apparel, it's teamnori.com/shop. And if you're looking for coaches, granted, a lot of our coaching staff is either at capacity or near capacity. So we're really only looking for people who are serious about long-term development and competition in powerlifting. But if that's something that appeals to you, teamnori.com/coaches. And yeah, on YouTube, I'm just Sean Noriega, and I upload very infrequently and inconsistently, so I'm not promising you anything there, but if you want to check it out, go for it.
Cool. You've reminded me something, your handle on Instagram, Hamstring Poppy. I'm sure we're not the first people to mention this, but was the irony lost on you, like that you had a hamstring injury at Nationals?
Oh yeah, I mean, I read a bunch of the comments after I got hurt of people being like, "Oh yeah, the hamstring poppied all right," and stuff like that. So
said, damn you!
No.
Yeah, exactly. Irony is a great thing.
No, that's cool. We'll be cheering you on as you continue to compete then and go against Russ. And you did agree to come on and made time for us, and we appreciate that. And Russ has not, so we'll certainly be cheering for you.
No, I appreciate it. I really enjoyed this episode. Very, it stands out to me as one of the more enjoyable podcasts that I've done. So I've really enjoyed this, and in general, I just like being on and talking and having good conversation. So thank you guys for having me on.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
A lot of fun. Thanks,
Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, guys.
Yep. Bye.
Danner,
what do you think?
Cool beans.
That was really good.
That was fun.
That was a great episode.
Yeah.
I'll be straight up on. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That was a great fucking episode right there.
That was double cool beans.
You know what else is really cool beans, Tommy? Texas Power Bars. There's a real good Texas Power Bars meme on the Massenomics Instagram page.
There is.
Selfless plug there. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid-70s. At that time, he was working for Image Barbell building gym equipment. Around 1976, the local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Barbell. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 1979, Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he had ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house, with the best knurling, and it was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more, visit them at texaspowerbars.com.
What's he got over there? I saw that.
And it went away.
Okay.
As I was reading
the
whole last three sentences, I kept thinking, I have to finish this before I sneeze.
Mm-hmm.
Made it.
You did it.
I made it, and you can too with a Texas Power Bar.
Anything is possible with a Texas Power Bar by your side.
Ladies, if your man is strong as a house, maintenance free,
and has won hundreds of records, that ain't your man. That's a Texas Power Bar. So, all memes are based in reality. And, a lot of people have been saying that. A lot of women had been approaching us saying they thought they were dating someone only to find out it's actually a Texas Power Bar.
It's like, that's weird. Now that I think about it, he's never spoken, and he only weighs 45 pounds.
He's been kind of cold lately.
He just never seems to move. He's always just sitting in the rack hooks there. Yep. Ladies, that's a Texas Power Bar.
I've been catfished. I've been Texas Power Barred.
That's funny. It's like Tinder, and you're swiping, and it's just Tinder for gym equipment. Yeah. It's swipe right on Texas Power Bar. Which way do you want to swipe? Is good.
Right.
So
right.
this
left, you're sending them back. Right, you're pushing,
okay.
right?
Oh, that makes sense to me. Right is forward.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's swipe right. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I believe you, but I don't know.
I did like it when he was talking about marketing. I want to be like, oh, there's this little thing ace up the sleeve called a meme. You pull that out.
That's our go-to marketing.
The world of marketing can change in a hurry.
Yeah, and especially meme in the form of when like a product can become a meme all on its own. Yeah. Now that is the perfect. Unfortunately, it's kind of like lightning in a bottle, and it's hard.
The first rule of business is you can't take any of your products seriously.
Yeah, this is the Massenomics school of business. Yeah. Everything is a joke.
Very self-deprecating. Yeah. He even said, "Oh, a lot of lifters like self-deprecating." Oh, how many business owners are self-deprecating? Yeah. We'll take that challenge on.
Let's. Our challenge is to make someone deprecate on themselves more than we do.
I'm gonna fill this room with deprecation.
It kind of sounds like we're like shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Marketing 101.
Yeah.
Put out the memes.
And keep them coming.
And don't stop. Do not stop beating that horse ever.
No. Oh, lift shorts, Exhibit A.
Yeah. Lift shorts. Yeah.
That was a good episode, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect with some people.
Nope.
And when I say some people, I mean any person.
Almost every single person we've ever had on.
Every person we've never met in person. You don't know what to expect.
No, I'm gonna before the year's over on Instagram, I'm gonna post the comprehensive list of every guest that we had for like this year. I think it'll be interesting to see, and it'll be like, wow, we talked to all those people in 2021, huh?
Yeah, man, these guys need to get a life.
Yeah, what are they doing coming on our podcast with us? We do have a lot more people that we're trying to wrangle up, and it's tough, Like
it is. It just gets harder all the time. That's what she said, as the actress said to the bishop.
Yes, it does just get harder all the time. And you can only fit so much in there.
Yep.
But like Robert Oberst is one. He said he is down to come on, but it's a matter of getting him to continue to communicate. And obviously he's a busy guy with getting a lot of messages and stuff. So actually just getting it scheduled is,
scheduling conflicts are a lot tougher than you would imagine.
Talked about having Lane Norton on, and he's agreed he'd like to. That's another difficult schedule. Some of these guys on the East Coast they're not all like Sean, and they don't like to stay up until 4 a.m. So when I tell them, we're going to call you, it's going to be about 10 o'clock your time, they're like, whoa, I go to bed at like 8.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, shoot, dang it. So it's easier usually to get our West Coast guys on than it is, or women, than it is the East Coast. But we've got some more good ones coming up, I think. It'd be exciting to
find out. If the next 8 episodes are just us talking, well, then we don't have some more.
We couldn't get anyone.
Then we lied to you. But
yeah.
If we have anything to do with it,
so we'll keep that rolling.
Tan, I'm going to read us an ad here.
Okay,
perfect.
While
you get your thing going there.
Perfect.
This episode of the Massenomics podcast is also brought to you by Spud Inc. And what could it be? The hooker straps.
Oh, he did it.
No, not that kind of hooker. These straps are designed to be used to assist lifts while using the hook grip. Just like any wrist straps, these straps work for deadlifts, snatches, cleans, etc. Instead of being worn around the wrist, these straps just go on your thumb. The coolest thing about the hookers is that it still gives you that hook grip feeling, but lets you hang onto the bar past the point of grip failure. Using these straps will also help to lengthen the thumb just a little, so when you go back to using a regular hook grip, the bar will feel tiny and your grip will feel rock solid. Check out the Spud Inc. hooker straps online at spud-inc-straps.com.
I just thought quick, a couple other people that I've talked to that have agreed, love to come on and get it figured out. Just got to finalize it. One is Jordan Shallow, the muscle doc. I think that'd be a interesting one that a lot of people would be excited about. And then another one that I think would be really cool is Evan Centopani. I think I say his last name right, but longtime bodybuilder and longtime animal sponsored athlete. He's on that poster in our gym right now. And like that poster is, I'm not sure how old. Yeah, right.
50 years old, I think.
But he's followed along with Massenomics for quite a long time. And
I saw him commenting just on something this week.
Yeah, and I think he'd be a really fun one for us to get in, kind of talk about like
He's probably seen some things.
Yeah, and like even just like the evolution of Animal as a company, some of that stuff I think is interesting. So, who owns Animal?
Isn't it Universal Nutrition?
Okay,
and I don't know who owns that. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of weird in this day and age to think of like things in the fitness industry as being kind of like faceless companies,
right?
But they kind of do feel like faceless like companies. But
yeah, I mean their faces are their just sponsored athletes, and
their athlete. Yeah,
but like who own because that'd be an interesting person to have on. Is whoever owns Animal, or see, I guess that's the thing. It's whoever owns Universal Nutrition, I suppose, and
they're probably not as interesting as we think they are.
Probably not. That's probably the problem. So we'll get on Evan, and that will actually be good. I wanted to hit us with a couple podcast reviews, and you know why I wanted to talk about a couple podcast reviews?
Because we're on the road.
We are getting dangerously close to 400 podcast reviews. By the time this episode comes out, we could be at 400
we might
podcast
be there. By the
reviews.
time you're hearing this, we could be there.
By the time you're hearing this, make sure to go leave one, because you could very well be the 400 reviewer, and there's a little bit of lag in those reviews. So if you see the numbers 398 or 399 or 397, leave it right away, because the other ones could already be in there. You need to get that in right away, and you could be number 400.
And you know what happens when you're number 400? We don't even need to say.
Yeah, we know. Everyone knows what happens when you're number 400. Yes, everyone knows. So here's a couple reviews. This podcast saved my marriage, from QC 9859.
Another one of those.
Add it to the list.
Yep.
Tick. I recently mustered the courage to talk to my gym crush. During the conversation, I asked, overrated or underrated deadlift bars. She indicated that she didn't understand the question. Long story short, she is no longer my gym crush, and my marriage is safe.
Nice.
Well done there. Next one is from N. Borley. Use code MASS. From this podcast, I've learned how to get strong, stay strong, and use my strength. There's no lesson I value more. Cool beans.
Nice.
Next one is from Daminger. I assume this is Big Chris. So it's not just me that thinks ... A complete overuse of the word yeah, or is it yeah, with an accent?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess to be specific, he said YAH, or is it YEAH?
Oh. See, I never write YAH.
No, I don't know that I've ever written that.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
That's not allowed around these parts.
Yeah. Next one is from August NUE. Weather and corn talk. First time listening to the podcast, and it starts with weather talk, followed by corn talk. This episode also started with weather talk.
Yeah.
A podcast that dares you to tune out immediately. I am in. These guys don't give a fuck. Not one. Now they're talking about Alanis Morissette. This is just a huge middle finger to everyone. Awesome. Wait, was this pod about bodybuilding and weightlifting culture? I may have misread.
I
like that.
You like that.
A podcast that dares you to turn out immediately. These guys.
It's a very challenging yet rewarding.
There's some good quotes in this one. This is just a huge middle finger to everyone.
That's the hardest I've laughed at a review in quite a while. Who is that one by?
That one is by August NUE.
Wow. Well done, August.
Not just a month anymore. It's also somebody that leaves good podcast reviews.
We're your parents September and October.
Yeah. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? We didn't get any corn talk in. Actually, everything's combined. There's no corn talk left.
Corn talk's done for the year, I guess.
Yeah. We could. You know car talk?
I know a little car talk.
No, but the show Car Talk.
Oh no! Nope. I don't.
Really long running supersedes podcast. I think it's an NPR.
Oh,
it might be.
Is that the one where people call in and sometimes they'll even ask questions?
Well, and the guys have very
like
strong
mechanics.
accents.
Yeah, and they're like mechanics, aren't they?
I don't know. Yeah, they might be.
Let me see. There was one
Northeast accents. I don't know what it is, but they have really thick accents.
There was one. I've been getting more and more into cars lately. And
you need to listen to Car Talk.
There was one that I downloaded because it was one of the most popular ones. And then as I downloaded, I'm like, well, this isn't quite the car thing I'm interested in at the moment. Yeah, I think this was the one because they talk a lot more about like people were like asking for repair questions, and I'm like, I don't want to know the technicalities. I just want people to talk about the design and things that the cars do. And
I wanted to see, when did Car Talk start?
Yeah, like here, episode number 2159, assuming that's how they're numbering them.
What did they say?
Well, this says 2,159, but I don't know if they're on a, like if it's season 21, episode 59.
No, guess how much they superseded podcasts. Car Talk launched as a local show in, do you want to guess the year that they started?
Well, just because you're saying a long time ago, 88?
77. 1977.
Oh, man.
A decade later, the show went national and became an enormous and enduring hit on NPR.
Jeez, maybe I need to give that a second chance here then.
Yeah. That's
I probably just caught the wrong one. It was like someone calling in complaining about like something on their Civic or Accord, and I'm like, oh, this isn't. I don't want to hear like troubleshooting on air.
Yeah. It was hosted by brothers Tom and Ray Magliozzi, known as Click and Clack.
Wow.
It won a Peabody Award.
Peabody? We don't got one of those yet.
Peabody? Barely even know her. Peabody, I hardly know the gal. That doesn't really make sense, does it?
Yeah. No, I think it does.
All right, it works. Yeah. So yeah, this episode is brought to you by Car Talk.
They're grooming us to be their replacements.
Yes.
Said if you guys can make this lifting thing work, then cars should be no problem.
People are actually interested in cars.
People actually pay lots of money to have a car.
Yeah. You know what else everyone could pay a lot of money for? Our products.
Our stuff.
Yeah, we got everything on the website. We've got, right now there's drink spotters in the 1-inch variety. There's no 5/8, but what I would recommend you do is get on there and sign up for our back in stock emails if you want that 5/8 pin size, because we do have a new order of those in the works, and that way you'll get first dibs on those. We'll send out that email notification to everyone before we kind of notify everyone else. So.
And you can say you got in it before the marketing blitz hit, because
true.
When that marketing blitz hits, it's going to be hard and fast.
That's what she said.
So stay tuned for that.
You can also buy our lift shorts. We have lift shorts right now. There's still time. If you order something now, you can still get it before Christmas, unless you probably live in other countries, because some shipping has been pretty slow. What we can guarantee is we're going to get it out as fast as possible.
Yeah, we will have it out of here within 24 to 48 hours.
Pretty much almost guaranteed within 24. Actually, no, not guaranteed within 24. Most likely within 24.
Yeah, like if you order on Saturday morning, it's not going to go Sunday morning.
So we will get it out as fast as possible if you want to order something for Christmas.
Just say we're not the bottleneck here.
No, we're not going to be. It's the United States Postal Service. And interesting, I hear them advertising on the radio this morning. I'm like, why does the United States Postal Service need to even advertise?
Yeah.
Like it was like a 30-second radio ad about how they're, how they bought more trucks, a whole bunch more trucks for their fleet this year and hiring more employees.
Unless that's more of a public service announcement, like, hey, don't worry, we're beefing up so things don't suck.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it was, but it was presented for sure as an ad. It was very like, it wasn't like, this just in, United States Postal, it was like, it was an ad, like absolutely an ad.
Well, maybe
like,
they were wrapping it in a smile.
Yeah, right. And I suppose that's probably kind of what it is. But I'm not sure if they're accurate, though, in what they're said, because they said they're beefing up and like going to get things out
Are we
quicker.
having like domestic packages go slow right now, or are they pretty good?
They're slower than normal times of the year, but this is the time of year when they get bogged down.
I think UPS and FedEx are both saying they're probably
they
slower
are too.
Time.
They're all have. I mean, that is.
But it's
the
not
time
like
of the
last year at this time. It was,
it
like
was real
weeks,
bad
right?
for a while. No, it's not. It's not like that. If you order now, it'll still get there before Christmas for sure. You even got some time there. What I was going to say though, we also do have lift cards on the website. If you don't know what that special someone wants, you can order a lift card. Did I say that correctly? Yeah, it's not a gift card. It's a lift card at Massenomics. So you can get that in kind of whatever denomination you would want to. And also we got
haven't seen one order a $5,000 lift card yet.
No, so waiting on that. That would be pretty sick.
Be the first person.
I would love to see that come in. We do have a decent stock of our winter merch, winter fall merch too. We've got the zip up gym hoodie. It's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Classic. The coat.
We'll just get that out of the way. They're all great.
Yeah,
so we'll get that part out of the way right now.
You're wearing the Raw Power tee. We've got a few of the Raw Power crew necks still. And then I'm wearing the long sleeve tee. But this has probably become my favorite thing.
I wore mine to the gym Saturday.
Did it disappoint?
Did not.
The
only thing that disappointed me was there was no one there to see me wearing it. Kind of pissed me off.
That is disappointing. It's like I wore one of my really good ones.
I showed up and I went, "Look at me, everyone!" And then there was no one there. I was just talking to myself.
Crickets.
Yeah, felt so stupid.
Yeah. Well, now everyone knows that you did it though, so it's kind of like they were there.
Yeah, now they know.
So grab one of these joggers. Still have joggers. It's kind of working out good. Our sizes on all. We have very limited stock of all these items left.
They're all still there.
Most of the sizes are, there's a few sizes that are gone, but it's literally like if one or two sell, those like sizes will just
start disappearing.
Right. So do hop on any of those. Is that most of our hot button stuff?
I think so.
We restocked Curls tees.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, merchandise. Yeah,
well, so when does this come out? So, because no, I don't think we have to worry about. Oh, wait a second.
Wait a minute. What is the date here? This comes out on the 13th. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a couple.
I'm glad we waited to the hour and 45-minute mark to do this. But
we have a couple items coming out later this week.
Yes.
That you're listening to this.
Yeah.
It's not an enormous drop.
Just a little something.
It's a very good drop, though. There's going to be a tee in there that you're going to want.
Yeah, for all you ladies listening, you can get that special guy in your life something at last minute.
Yes. It's cool beans, a really cool colorway on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shirt that we already know that a lot of people like. We'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's even going to be a lower body garment in there for all we know. I'd hate to say more.
Lift underwear.
Finally. Lift snow pants.
It's a seasonal thing. Lift snow pants.
Yeah, it's very seasonal, very regional. Do you have snow pants?
I do from snowboarding.
Okay.
So yeah.
I have over
oh yeah. The more regional dialect, you could say.
Although not great for rolling around in the snow because those get soaking wet.
Oh, do they really hang on to the moisture?
Oh, like the typical, like the Carhartt style.
I didn't know if that had like some kind of
maybe some are better than others
to it or not.
I suppose some have that, but it is not like snow pants. Like it. I
suppose it is kind of just canvas, sort of.
Right.
Isn't it?
Once it gets wet, it's gonna be wet until. So like I'll go. And it's fine, and it works to a certain extent, but not like snow pants does. Like you are going to get wet eventually through those.
I never thought about.
It's like when you're out there building the snowman with the kids in the wet snow, the stuff that makes the good snowman. Making a snowman is fun for anyone that lives in somewhere where you don't get to do that.
Yeah, I'm getting excited for my boy to kind of wrap his head. Like he's at the point where we can put him in the little sled and pull him around the yard.
Yeah,
and he thinks it is the best thing in the world.
Playing in the snow is fun. Underrated with the kids playing in the snow.
I always loved playing in the snow.
Oh yeah, like you'd go out until literally your appendages are like, well. Not sure if it's going to be frostbite like forever. If like I'm going to gain sensation back.
I'm so cold, but I'm sweating so much because.
And also my nose is running has run for so long. Everything is covered in snot.
Yep. Yeah, we do a lot of snow activities when I was younger.
This last snow though, not conducive for snowmen.
Not really. You had to really pack it to get it.
It's frustrating.
Not
every snow is.
It was okay snow for like a snowball.
Yeah, I suppose
you could do that. Okay, but.
My favorite thing is to build giant snowmen.
Yeah, you guys always do have the really big ones.
It's almost where it's like a competition for the neighbor. Like wait till the couple of the neighbors build like very modest snowmen, and then come out with like this
for the
thing
amateur hour to be done with.
We're literally like there was quite a bit of snow in your yard. The grass is now all exposed again because all the snow is in the snowman.
Their yard melted and turned into a man.
And then you get to practice Atlas stones too, because to get that second decker on there, it is an Atlas stone lift at that point.
Yeah.
So buy our snow. This episode was also brought to you by Snow. Tommy,
do you have any?
Yeah. Where do they find you at in the snow?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.